Sai Ram, and welcome to our presentation of the immortal Bhagavad Gita as a simple conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. If you recall, in the last episode, we saw Krishna explaining the nuances of karma, ranging all the way from karma pala tyagam to pavitra karma. These clearly are not simple topics, and understandably Arjuna has many questions to ask. Let us hear Arjuna asking those questions and find out how the Lord clears the doubts.
Krishna, you talked about duty. Is anyone exempt from duty?
None at all.
Not even the kings?
No. Everyone from the king to the pauper has to perform duty.
And what about realized souls? Surely there is no need for them to perform any duty, since they are already one with you.
Actually, saints and sages also have a duty, that of guiding ordinary mortals on the spiritual path.
What about you?
That is a good question. Technically, I have no duties to perform, for I am not in this transient world, though I have temporarily donned a human form. However, since people mostly see only my external human form, by the way of setting an example, I too perform actions that could be called duty.
It is worth pausing a moment here to note that Swami often talks about doing his duty. That remark is to be understood in the same spirit in which Krishna explains why he too performs duty, though he is not bound to.
Krishna, you talked about karma phala tyagam. What if a person does not want to give up the desire for the fruit that he expects through his actions?
Now that is a good question. You see, Arjuna, as I told you earlier, generally speaking, there is nothing immoral or sinful in having legitimate expectations to actions one performs. For example, there is a young boy who is training with a guru to become an archer. His ambition is to become the world's best archer, and keeping this ambition before him, the boy works very hard all the time.
Yes, Krishna. That is precisely the sort of thing I was having in mind. Now what is wrong in having such an ambition? Why should this boy, in the name of karma phala tyagam, give up such an ambition?
I am coming precisely to that. Let us suppose that this boy, in spite of working very hard, does not become anything more than an ordinary archer, and another boy who is also training with the same guru becomes a world champion. What happens? This boy now starts feeling miserable and jealous about the other boy.
But that is natural, is it not?
Maybe it is natural in a worldly sense, but why did the boy invite trouble in the first place? If he had not been consumed by ambition, he would have been far happier.
But Krishna, how can one give up ambition? It is a great motivator in life. Without ambition, a person would have no spirit, no life.
That, my dear fellow, is precisely where you are wrong. You think ambition is a great motivator. Let me tell you that there cannot be a greater motivator than God.
God, a motivator? I do not follow.
I am not surprised, and let me explain.
It is necessary to pause and return to Swami's teachings, for he alone has explained all these crucial points in great detail. For example, in his famous Gita Vahini, Swami says that if, for example, a boy studies very hard for a competitive examination, it is quite reasonable for the boy to have the ambition of getting a high rank, etc. Such worldly ambitions are common and there is nothing immoral about them. People do have expectations of reward, and they do so mainly for experiencing the joy of success. However, when one starts having such expectations of reward, then one must be equally prepared for the sorrow of failure. You see, the world is wrapped in duality, and in this dual world, there are always pairs of opposites like success and failure, joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, profit and loss, and so on. Bhagavan Baba says that we must become aware of this dual nature of the world and beware of unnecessarily inviting trouble. A man may be successful today, he may win praise for his success and so on, but tomorrow there may be a new hero who grabs the headlines while this ex-hero is forgotten. That is when this man begins to feel miserable. This is the way things work out in the dual world. So what is the alternative? If people do not feel motivated, then they would not give off their best, and the world would simply stagnate. There would be no progress. What's the way out? Swami has given the solution. And since that solution is a reflection of the Gita, let us return to Krishna and Arjuna.
Arjuna, you wanted to know how God can be a motivator? Let me tell you. I am sure you agree that God is resident in your heart and that He is with you every second wherever you go.
That is true, my lord.
Good. You agree that you are never really alone and always in the company of God. Now suppose you try to do whatever you do for God's pleasure rather than getting some worldly benefit out of it.
Krishna, I do not understand.
Simple. Here is an example. There is a housewife and she is cooking food for the family. While she does this routine household chore, she is all the time thinking of me and singing my praise. And she offers what she does to me.
What does that mean? You are not visible generally, and how can she offer anything to you when you are not visible?
You are here making the usual mistake. Arjuna, I do not have to be visible to your eyes to make my presence known or felt. A better way of experiencing my presence would be via the heart. So this lady, after finishing the cooking, takes all the food, places the items before my idol and says, "O Lord, I offer this to you. Later, when I serve this food to the members of my family, I shall do so in the belief that it is actually you who are eating the food, though in various different human forms."
We pause once again to recall what Bhagavan Baba has to say about all this. Krishna is now bringing up a very important point, namely how to sanctify every minute of life by offering even normal work as an offering to God. The magic mantra for making this offering is the word Krishnarpanam. Innumerable are the stories surrounding this wonderful word. Swami often recalls the famous incident in the life of Meera. Her wicked sisters-in-law decide to get rid of Meera by pretending to be nice and considerate, offering milk as a gesture of love. However, deadly poison has been added to that milk, and Meera, in her innocence, accepts the glass given to her, fully believing that the milk had been given to her with love. And then, as was her custom, she first offers the milk to Krishna, after which she drinks the milk. The jealous sisters-in-law are waiting for Meera to fall dead, but she does not. Why? Because Krishna has sucked out the poison while Meera drank the milk after offering it to the Lord. Swami repeatedly reminds, God is not only your best friend, but also your only friend. More about the glory of Krishnatmanam later, but meanwhile, let us rejoin the Lord and his disciple Arjuna.
So Krishna, anything I do, I can offer to you simply by saying Krishnarpanam? Is that what you're saying?
Arjuna, you must be careful about the words you are using. You cannot commit murder and offer it to me. What you offer to me must be acts of love, service, kindness, compassion, understanding, etc. And you must do this with the belief that it is ultimately I who receive everything.
Can you add some more explanation to that so that I can understand better?
Sure.
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavih Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina.
The act of offering is Brahman, and the offering itself is Brahman. The one who offers is Brahman, and the sacred fire into which the offering is made is also Brahman. He alone attains Brahman, who, in all his actions, is fully absorbed in Brahman.
This wonderful hymn contains the essence of Vedanta. It says that God is everything and everywhere. Obviously, this requires much explanation and elaboration, which we shall take up next time. Meanwhile, I urge you to reflect deeply on all that you have heard in this episode. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome once again to this serial presenting the essence of the Gita in the form of an informal conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, amplified by drawing upon the teachings of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Towards the end of the last episode, we heard Krishna tell Arjuna, "Do good always and offer all your actions to me." This is a very important advice, and in this context, let us hear again a key sloka of the Gita.
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavih Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina.
Essentially, this sloka says that everything in this universe is Brahman or God. The literal meaning of the sloka that you just heard is, the act of offering is Brahman, the offering is Brahman, the one who offers is Brahman, and the sacred fire to which the offering is consigned is also Brahman. He alone attains Brahman, who in all his actions is fully absorbed in Brahman. In short, every breath of life must be saturated with the thought of God. This is the way to sanctify time and also life. If one keeps on doing this, then when one finally gives up the body, one would eternally merge with God. Naturally, in this process, the devotee would be offering many things to God, and whenever he does, he should do so in the spirit of this sloka that you just heard. Let us now rejoin Krishna and Arjuna.
Krishna, if I understand you correctly, everything that we see in this universe is God, and nothing except God. Am I right?
Indeed you are. I know you have many doubts and difficulties in accepting that. So, let me straight away raise some of those questions myself and answer them for you.
Oh, that is so kind of you.
Don't you know, I am here to help. Always. Well, let us take these questions one by one. First question. If everything in the universe is God in disguise, then how come there are so many problems? God is supposed to be goodness, love, compassion, etc. Yet, we see so much of cruelty, violence, hatred, anger, etc. None of which can be called divine qualities. Where did they all come from if the universe came from God? That is your first question, is it not?
How well you have read my thoughts, O Krishna.
I shall clear your doubt. And now, listen carefully.
This is where Krishna is going to explain the mystery of the cosmic drama called life. It is very difficult for us to accept that the world is a stage and that life is a cosmic drama and that we all are actors on this divine stage. That is because for thousands of years mankind has been immersed in a foolish delusion called Maya. The Lord explains how to look at life in the correct perspective. This teaching is very important and let us therefore pay careful attention.
Arjuna, this war that is about to start is a part of my cosmic drama. People do not understand all this, used as they are to looking at events and history in a limited perspective. You must learn to view things from a cosmic perspective. Only then can you perform actions the right way.
Lord, do I have to take a cosmic view of life for every little thing I do? That sounds too much.
Not if you realize who you really are. You think you are the body. No, you are not. You are in fact the child of immortality. You are eternal, wearing a temporary body for acting in my transient cosmic drama. Now, as you know, a drama must have actors. This is true of my cosmic drama as well, and my actors are humans as well as all the entities created by me.
Krishna, am I also an actor?
Of course you are, but the problem is you do not know about it.
But Krishna, why all this complication? Why did you create this universe? Why did you make us all into actors and so on? Don't you see that all this is creating problems for us? Forgive me for saying this, but when you say this man is not following dharma, that man is violating dharma, etc., these are really situations created by you, and we get blamed for it? Is that fair?
Partha, stop being stupid and listen to me. All that I shall explain later. But tell me, when you get a job as an actor in the drama troupe, do you question the producer and director of the play? Do you not simply do as you are told? If you can do that in plays written and produced by man, why can't you do that when it comes to God's drama? Do you mean to say God cannot have freedom to produce plays as he wants, whereas man can have?
Krishna, I never thought of it that way.
That is your problem. Now listen and do not interrupt.
Once again, we are coming to a critical point and we need to pay very careful attention to the explanations that Krishna is giving. These are particularly important at the present time.
So Arjuna, there is this cosmic drama of mine, enacted using the universe as the cosmic stage, with all entities created by me as props or actors. Among the actors, humans are the most important.
Krishna, every play has a storyline and a script. What is the storyline in your cosmic drama, as you call it, and what is the script?
That is a good question. The storyline is love. Pure love, to be more explicit.
I do not follow.
Well, In my play, every actor is supposed to show pure love in whatever he or she does.
Krishna, actors normally follow a script. If they act according to the script, the emotions the playwright wants would automatically be in evidence.
My play, Arjuna, has no written script.
No written script? That is terrible.
Not really, because it makes the play so much more interesting.
My head is spinning.
Arjuna, it is not so complicated as you imagine. In our culture, there is a lot of improvisation. In music, for example. The singer sings a song, but within that, he gives room for his imagination. In the same way, in my play, I have left the dialogue free, so to say, subject to a broad guideline.
What is that guideline?
That is the core of the play. The guideline that all actors have to follow without exception is atma dharma.
And that is where the atma comes into the picture.
Correct.
It's time to take a break and absorb what the Lord has been teaching Arjuna. Let us pull together the points he has made thus far. 1. Humans are embodiments of the Atma. 2. Life is given to realize the divinity within and use that knowledge to live life in a spiritual manner. 3. Living in a spiritual manner means that every act must be spiritualized. 4. Spiritualizing an action means one must perform one's duty as a loving offering to God. 5. When one does this, one automatically plays one's role in God's drama the way He wants. 6. When, however, one deviates from the above guidelines, then one is going against Atma Dharma. 7. Humans go astray when their focus is on the world rather than on the inner self. 8. Excessive focus on the external world results when one allows one's buddhi to rust. 9. When buddhi becomes dysfunctional, then the mind becomes a slave to the senses. In other words, one becomes a prey to body consciousness. 10. It is body consciousness that makes one to develop strong desires, intense attachments, and become a prey to anger, jealousy, hatred, and so forth. In short, one ends by being a bad actor in God's drama. Of course, there are still many more questions, but we need not worry, for Arjuna would be asking all of them on our behalf. Let us return to the Lord and His disciple.
So Arjuna, let me summarize briefly what I have said so far. Creation is my play and life is my drama. In this drama, all humans are actors. Only, hardly anyone is aware of that. Now in this cosmic drama of mine, different people play different roles. Those roles are chosen by me via the agency of destiny. There is no script as such, but all actors have to follow one basic rule, which is atma dharma. That is all. As long as they are following atma dharma, they are acting in accordance with the spirit of my divine play.
Lord, all this sounds so complicated and scares me.
There is no need to get frightened by this word atma dharma. It might be high sounding, but it is simple, really. When I say your actions must be in accordance with atma dharma, it simply means be true to your real nature. What is your real nature? Are you the body? No. Are you the mind? No. Then what else are you? You are the Atma, which is the core of human form. The body and the mind are just like garments worn by a person.
Krishna, sorry to interrupt, but when I wanted to drop out from the war, how was that going against Atma Dharma?
That is what I have been trying to tell you all along. This war is a war between the forces of evil and the forces of good. Such wars take place from time to time and form a part of the cleansing process. As a Kshatriya or a warrior, it is your duty to fight for dharma against adharma. But you want to quit. Is that right? No. Why were you trying to quit? Because of wrong judgment. How come your judgment became clouded? Because your buddhi had gone on a holiday. Why has your buddhi become rusted? Because you have become a slave to attachment. Why have you become a slave to attachment? Because your mind has shut off the Atma and becoming preoccupied with the outer world.
Lord, that was a big dose, and I would need some time to digest that.
I suppose we also can say that. I shall stop here and be back with you again next time. Meanwhile, please do reflect on what Krishna has taught Arjuna. Those lessons apply to all of us, especially in today's world. How? That we shall examine next time by delving into some of Bhagavan Baba's teachings. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome again to this unique presentation of the eternal message of the Lord as a simple dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. I hope you are noticing that we are also linking Krishna's teachings to the teachings of Swami given over so many years. Through this combination of the dialogue and the teachings of Swami, we hope to point out how this message of the Lord is particularly important for us today. Last time we saw Krishna explaining some aspects of the drama called life and the role adherence to dharma plays in this drama called life. We pick up from where we broke off and catch up with Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield.
Krishna, there is one thing I do not understand. You said life is a drama. You also said that the purpose of life is to go back to God. If that is the purpose, then why confuse poor human beings by making them also act in your drama, which, by the way, is very difficult to understand?
Arjuna, do you think I would do anything without a purpose? If you simply tell people, listen, your job is to go back to God and you had better concentrate only on that. People would drop out even before they start. I have therefore made it easier for people. I say, listen, live life normally, but be good. And when there is a dilemma, make sure you stick to atma dharma. You would then safely get to where you should be going.
Krishna, this is a bit difficult for me. Can you please explain a bit more clearly?
Well, just consider what is happening right now. You want to quit and I'm telling you to fight. But you are arguing with me. If instead you simply follow my instructions and do as I say, don't you think it would greatly advance the purpose for which you have been given human life?
Oh my God! I never thought of that.
Swami once told his devotees, if you go to a doctor with an ailment, after carefully examining you, the doctor would do two things. First, he would give you medicines or aushadam, and then he would prescribe diet restrictions or patyam. It's the same with God also, the divine doctor, because he cures spiritual sickness. In the case of God, the medicine is namasmaranam, or chanting constantly the name of the Lord. And the diet restriction or patyam is to follow what God says. That is, strictly following the Lord's command. That's the patyam. Now, namasmaranam has always been the mainstay of all our great devotees, and on innumerable occasions, Swami has extolled the virtues of namasmaranam. Instead of just chanting the name, one can also sing bhajans. In the state of Maharashtra, there was a saintly woman who once had to grind a lot of corn using a grinding wheel. To lighten the burden, this lady started singing bhajans in praise of Krishna. As she did so, she became so absorbed in her devotional singing that she did not feel any strain at all. Do you know what happened at that stage? Krishna appeared before her and said, "Lady, move over. I shall grind the corn for you while you sing for me." That is the power of namasmaranam. Let's get back again to Krishna and Arjuna.
Arjuna, the script of my drama is very simple. You do not have to spend time cramming it, getting it by heart. All I say is, destiny has placed you in a certain circumstance. Do what you are supposed to do in a dharmic manner, without selfishness and thinking of me always. Is that really difficult? Not at all. And yet, if you hear people, you would think that being spiritual is the most difficult thing in life. I tell you, being spiritual is not difficult. What is difficult is giving up selfishness. And since that is difficult, people invent all kinds of excuses, saying that selfishness is natural to humans.
Keshava, are you telling me that selfishness is not natural to humans?
Of course not. That is the myth that is peddled by those who wish to justify their non-dharmic actions.
So selfishness is what derails a person in his journey to God?
Absolutely.
I have to digest that, but meanwhile, I want to know what happens to a person who does not lead a dharmic life and thereby fails to fulfill the purpose of life.
Ah, that is a good question. I do not have enough time to answer that in detail, but in brief, what happens is the following. When a person is selfish, he or she has a lot of attachment and desires. Some of the desires get fulfilled in life, while others do not. Therefore, when the person dies, while the gross body is consigned back to the elements, the desires stick to the subtle body, which then floats away looking for a new body. As a result, the person is again born with a new body, and in this manner, the person gets another chance to fulfill the desires earlier not fulfilled.
So rebirth occurs due to unfulfilled desires?
That and the settlement of accounts related to earlier births.
What's that?
Well, during his life, a man might have been very cruel, hurting and beating people. When he is reborn, he might be placed in the situation where he is now getting beaten. He might suffer pain in many other ways also.
Is this what people often call karma?
Exactly.
So the debt of karma is responsible for rebirth. And if we get rid of that debt, there would be no rebirth?
Correct.
And all that you said earlier, like following atma dharma, etc., would help in getting rid of this karmic debt?
Absolutely.
We pause here to absorb the basics of rebirth. Swami says that the first thing we must understand is that the individual is actually made up of three distinct entities: the gross body, the mind and the atma. The atma is of course everywhere, but here and there a portion of it gets encased, if I may say so, and that package appears as a human being. The casing consists not only of the gross body but also the mind, which is a subtle entity as compared to the gross body. Of course, the atma that is partially trapped is eternal, as you well know. Now consider a baby that grows in the womb and is born into this world. This child then grows, going through many phases such as childhood, youth, middle age and finally the old age. A time then comes when the person dies. When the person dies, the gross body is returned to the elements. What is left then is a subtle combination made up of the mind of the deceased and the eternal atma. This subtle combination, or subtle body as it is sometimes called, just floats away from the previous body, looking for a new body to park itself in. When it finds the right fetus, this subtle combination enters that fetus and gives it life. A new baby now grows in a new womb and is born as a new person. What is new about this person is just the gross body. The mind is a carryover from the earlier mind and has many tendencies or vasanas belonging to the previous birth. Apart from the vasanas, the new body also carries the karma of earlier births. This karma consists essentially of assets and debts accumulated earlier. Assets are good deed or punyam as it is often called, while debts are bad deed or papam as it is called. This is the bank balance with which the person starts his or her new life. In every life, some gains are made and some debts are cancelled, but new debts are also accumulated. As a result, the slate is never clean. That is what makes people to be born again and again. Is the cycle of birth and death endless? Is there no way to break this recurring cycle? Yes, there is. In the Gita, the Lord has explained this mystery and soon we shall come to that. Meanwhile, let us return to Krishna and Arjuna.
Arjuna, let me make it all very simple. Don't try to understand all the complications of life and death and get lost. People often waste their time this way. You are my dear friend, and for you, I shall give a simple method. Just follow it, and you are home.
Really? I am eager to know what that simple method is.
Well, here it is. Just think of me, always. Try and chant my name if possible, even as you are going about your normal work, and offer what you are doing to me with just one word.
What is that?
Krishnarpanam.
Let me see if I have got it right. First, I must chant your name always. Next, I must follow your command to offer everything to you, right?
Wonderful.
If I do these two things always, I will make it?
Guaranteed.
Swami says, God is so loving that if we love Him dearly, then out of infinite compassion, He would even cancel great karmic debts. When God hears our cry, He can cut through routine procedures and cancel all debts. But for that, we must really try hard. More about all that later. Jai Sai Ram.
Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare sayanam. इह संसारे बहु दुष्कारे, इह संसारे बहु दुष्कारे, कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे, कृपया भज गो
Sai Ram. Before we listen to what Krishna and Arjuna are discussing right now, maybe we should recall some of the important lessons that Krishna taught Arjuna earlier. The most important points are the following. 1. Human birth is given for returning to God. 2. People waste their lives, are then born again and again, and thus fail to return to God. That is why Swami says that the present life must be lived so that one does not have to be born again. 3. What is the simplest way of achieving that? 4. 1. By always thinking of God, which is done by chanting the name of God. And 2. By offering whatever one does to God. Point number 5. If we take care of these two things that I just mentioned, Krishna would take care of all the rest. Can we get a better deal? Now in the Gita, Krishna says that he who thinks of God just as he is about to die would surely reunite with God.
Antakale jamameva smaran mukva kalevaram yaprayadi samadbhavam yadi nastyatra samshayah.
Whosoever remembers me at the time of death merges in me. Of that there is no doubt.
That is what one must aim at, to think of God at the very last moment. However, it's not easy to think of God at the moment when one is giving up the body, unless one makes it a lifelong habit. To stress this, Baba tells a humorous story. There lived in a village a merchant with a shop. His only interest in life was business and making money. A wise man visiting the village told this merchant, "Money should not be the only goal in your life. If you think of money all the time, you would not be able to think of God in the very last minute. If you do not call out to God in the last moment, you would not be reunited with God." The merchant replied, "In my case, there is no danger of that. I am smart and I have already named my sons Rama, Krishna and Govinda. When I am about to die, I would call out their names, and that is the same as calling out to God." The wise man went away, pitying the foolish merchant. The day finally came when the merchant felt he would die soon. Remembering the words of the wise man, he called out, "Hey, Rama, Krishna and Govinda." The sons all rushed to this ailing father's bedside. The man then shouted, "What? All of you have come here? Who will mind the store?" So saying, he died. Thus, this man's last thought was about his shop and not God. As Swami stresses, Namasmaranam is the best way of making sure God is always in one's thought. Mahatma Gandhi was a great believer in constantly chanting the name of the Lord, which is why he was able to die with the Lord's name on his lips. Let us now join Krishna and Arjuna to see how the conversation is progressing.
Krishna, you were mentioning karmic debt. Can I know something more about that?
Sure. Let us say a baby is born. This baby may come with a brand new body, but the mind of that baby is not new. It is built up from the tendencies or vasanas acquired in earlier births. When the baby grows into an adult, these vasanas or latent tendencies develop into what are called gunas. The gunas of a person characterize that person. Some people are good and kind, others cruel and selfish. Some smile always and speak softly, others yell and shout for nothing. All these are due to gunas.
And vasanas are the seed from which the gunas grow?
Correct.
Keshava, for a thing to grow there must be nourishment. For a tree, water is important. What is the nourishment for gunas to develop?
Good question. Gunas are shaped to a large extent by outside influences. Thus, it is that a man must be very careful about choosing his friends.
Swami stresses this aspect often and says, "Tell me your company and I shall tell you what you are." The importance of good company has always been appreciated in our society, and Bhagwan Baba reminds his devotees of what Adi Shankara said.
Satsangate nisangatvam nisangate nirmohatvam
Satsangate nisangatvam nisangate
nirmohatvam nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan mukti
nischalatatvam nischalatate jivan mukti
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama.
Satsang is very important in life, and the best satsang is with God Himself, which is done via meditation. More about that later. For the moment, let us rejoin Krishna and Arjuna.
Madhusudan, I understand how a person is shaped in life by external forces. I suppose if one's buddhi is in good shape, one would avoid bad company. Am I right?
100%. So you see how important buddhi is for a person?
Krishna, can you explain to me in somewhat greater detail than you did earlier, why is a person reborn?
Arjuna, the answer in one word is attachment.
Attachment? I do not get it.
Look at it this way. In life, people develop all kinds of attachments. Attachment blinds and ties people to the world. Take Dhritarashtra for example. He is so attached to his sons, he is unable to see that what they are doing is wrong. Even if he understands, he does not correct or reprimand them. Instead, he makes excuses for them.
I understand that, Krishna. But how does attachment lead to rebirth?
That is not very difficult to understand. Take a child that has a toy. It loves that toy very much and is attached to it. If someone tries to take away the toy, it screams and fights. It plays all day along with the toy. At night, it goes to sleep. Next day, it is back again playing with the toy. Man is like that. When living on earth, he becomes attached to all sorts of things. When he dies, all those tendencies remain. Those tendencies pull him back to the world and he reappears with a new body.
Does that mean, Krishna, that if we get rid of attachments, we can shake off rebirth?
That is exactly what I am trying to say. Arjuna, getting rid of attachments is not always easy, for the human mind has the tendency to seek attachment. The way out is to attach yourself to God and not to things of the world. That can save you.
Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham.
As for those who exclusively worship me, who meditate on me with no other thought, and who are ever steadfast, I bear entirely the burden of their welfare.
Arjuna, if a person constantly worships me and thinks of me all the time with no other thought, then I shall bear the entire burden of that person's welfare.
Keshava, when you say you will bear all the burden, will you also cancel karmic debts?
Why not?
But Krishna, there is a problem.
What is that?
You say man must love God. But is that also not attachment?
Listen, did you pay proper attention to what I said? You obviously did not. I said, man must not get attached to things of this world, this transient world. God is not of this world. He is above and beyond this world. Love for God does not and cannot come in the category of worldly attachment.
But Krishna, I still have a problem. You are God. But right now you are here in this world along with me. I love you, which means I love God. Frankly, I am getting confused. Are you here or up there or in both the places? If you are here on earth and I love you, it still does not become attachment. How is that?
Oh Arjuna, all these problems arise because till now you have not thought seriously about spiritual matters. People learn the Vedas, but only the chants. They do not make an effort to understand the meanings. Do you know that the Vedas contain eternal truths revealed to rishis by God in their meditations? Why have they passed on these to posterity? So that man can contemplate on the meanings of the message of God given through sages.
Keshava, please forget all that. Here we are, you and me. And now please tell me what I want to know.
If we think about it, this is precisely what Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba is doing right now, explaining ancient truths in 100 different and simple ways, so that people in today's fast world can grasp the essentials and spiritualize their lives. However, people hardly bother to digest the teachings of Swami. Back now to Krishna.
Arjuna, let me start with the basics. In the beginning, there was only God and nothing but God. This God is formless and nameless. He is divine, that is, unmanifest. This aspect of God is described as Nirakara Brahman. And then God created the universe, into which matter and being came into existence. Since the entire universe came from God, the divine aspect of God pervades the entire universe. Arjuna, now listen to this carefully. In this universe, you might see many different things. This diversity no doubt exists, but it rests on me. Therefore, everything in the universe has the divine aspect, and that includes you too. The universe may be called manifest divinity because God is present everywhere. However, He is not visible to the eye like I am to you. In the physical universe, God cannot be seen with normal eyes, but His presence can be easily inferred. Arjuna, my power pervades every aspect of the universe, whether it is big or small, and that is why the Vedas describe God as Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan.
Krishna is now leading to the all-important subject of the omnipresence of God that Swami stresses ever so often. That topic we shall consider next time. Jai Sai Ram.